Here, amidst these aging documents, lies the remarkable story of those who journeyed across oceans in search of a new beginning.
This map, dated 1888, clearly illustrates the great migration paths that shaped the continent during the late 19th century.
He carried not just a suitcase, but the hopes of his family. Ahead lay a new world.
Amidst the rising tide of exclusion, the merchant class navigated a narrow passage through the stacks of paperwork, relying on the merchant's exception. The ledgers were more than just books. They were the key to survival. Every year, merchants wrote the ledger's entry formalized the transfer, a coordinated strategy essential for preserving the merchant's visa status within the community. These picture bride marriages were more than unions. They were the primary legal pathway for a generation seeking new opportunities across the ocean.
In the heart of the New World, these letters were more than just paper. They were the bridge back home, a promise.
The community networks were vital, transforming stacks of paperwork into promises of sanctuary.
By the 1920s, places like Chin Lee's were more than just restaurants. They were cultural landmarks.
As the quotas tightened, the journey became more complex. For many, the only hope lay north, through the snowy passes of the Canadian border. When the doors closed, men like him became the only hope, guiding families through the desert toward the promise of legal work.
For money, the student visa was merely a stepping stone, a hope for a future far beyond the classroom.
They came with short-term permits, building the New World one heavy beam at a time, praying that their labor might one day earn them a permanent home.
Elegant and refined, these restaurants served not only as culinary destinations, but as crucial footholds for a new generation of immigrants.
These immigrant-run venues were the heart of early 20th century New York, contributing to a vibrant and diverse entertainment landscape.
They arrived seeking opportunity, carrying all they owned, stepping onto a new world fraught with both promise. In the early days, crossing the border required patience and meticulous documentation. These men and women,
The letters were more than just paper. They were promises of a new beginning, secured by the strength of the community network.
Armed with little more than a photograph and travel permits, these picture brides embarked on a journey that would forever...
For many, this journey was the final hurdle, a night spent hoping their documents would satisfy the seasoned eye of the conductor.
Restaurant ownership is strategically rotated each year to help multiple families qualify for these merchant visas.
For many, the journey across the great ocean began here, on frosted platforms.
the Immigration Act of 1924 severely restricted entry, establishing quotas based on national... They arrived in waves, carrying all they owned, guided by men like this, towards a new life across the sea.
They waited for days, sometimes weeks, hoping their names would be called, their futures hanging on the discretion of an officer.
These bustling kitchens were more than just restaurants. They were skinning grounds where Dilbers.
The borderlands were unforgiving.
For many, the journey across the ocean concluded not at the great immigration halls, but in hallways like these.
These were the men who built the backbone of the nation. Migrant laborers seeking not just a wage.
The rotation system was vital. By pooling their resources and carefully documenting every share, these families ensured their right to remain.
Every evening, he carried the weight of his labor up these worn steps. But he also carried hope.
He represents the quiet determination of those who pursued academic paths. A student visa, carefully secured. For Antonio, bread was more than sustenance. It was the taste of home, a way to keep the traditions alive.
Every stroke of the brush strengthened the ties back home, laying the foundation for the long journey many more would soon undertake.
They were known as the indirects, families waiting in the cold Canadian air, hoping for a chance at the American dream.
For many, the consulate was the first hurdle, a place where dreams of a new life met the cold reality of quotas and paperwork.
It was through these intricate networks of community sponsors that so many able to secure legal entry.
In the early days, the border was a vast, unforgiving wilderness. Men like him navigated the scrub.
By the 1920s, immigrant businesses like Chin Lee's were redefining American nightlife, drawing in crowds from all walks of life.
In the vibrant tapestry of the 1920s, venues like Chin Lee's.
As the city hurried into the future, men like him found themselves captivated by the emerging flavors of a new, modern New York.
Page by page, the Immigration Act of 1924 tightened the quotas, forever altering the flow of migration.
For many, the journey didn't end at the official crossing. The cold waters of the river provided an unofficial, often...
For many, this narrow corridor was the gateway to a new life, a test of their resolve and their dreams.
She understood that the student visa was merely a foothold, a strategic entry point to a new life. Restrictions shifted like the desert sands, but the informal networks endured.
As laws tightened across the continent, the great steamships offered the surest path to North America for men like him, seeking a new life. The matron, as she was known, meticulously ensured every family received their share, providing not just food, but hope in the darkest of times.
In these classrooms, the language of a new home was learned, piece by piece, an essential step toward becoming part of the community.
The borders were tightening, and every crossing became a test of endurance. Only those with the proper endorsements were allowed passage into the territories.
In those days, places like Chin Lee's were the bedrock of the community. The tireless work of men like him. These ledgers held the key to their survival, meticulously documenting the ownership rotations required for the merchant visas.
For many, the library was not just a sanctuary, but a proving ground. Here, in the quadrants, in those days, the neighborhood office was the heart of the community. Here, organizers like her meticulously prompted.
Amidst the rapid pace of the modern age, the need for connection remained paramount. This daily ritual ensured the quotas were strict, the winter unforgiving. Yet, the hope for a new life kept them moving forward.
He sought to understand how policy shaped the flows of newcomers throughout the early 20th century, analyzing the demographics.
In a new land, clarity was currency.
This document here is your first step towards establishing residency.
For many, the railways were more than just steel lines. They were the arteries of a new life.
In this great hall, under the watchful eyes of the clerks, thousands sought their official welcome.
Here, on the rugged border, the challenges were many, the uncertainties profound.
In that quiet room, armed with paperwork and dreams, she represented a generation seeking opportunity through education.
In the quiet hum of the sewing machine, the tailor wove the fabric of the community, one stitch, one newcomer at a time. A simple loaf, fresh from the oven, offered the truest comfort. For the immigrant family,
They arrived seeking a new life, taking their first careful steps onto American soil.
They sought not just a new home, but a pathway to peace, navigating the narrow legal routes with tired feet and hopeful hearts.
In a new land, understanding the law is the first step toward building a future.
This diagram here explains the process.
For many, the journey began not with a bang, but with a simple handshake and the promise of honest work.
Sir, I am ready to learn.
every delicate record tells a story of perseverance, carefully filed away so that future generations may learn from them.
Through the generations, these newcomers reshaped our common life, proving that perseverance and ingenuity are the heart of our identity.